Hello again, family. This is day 13 of our Reading Through the Bible Together in a Year series. Today we're covering Genesis chapters 41 and 42. Now, where we are so far is that we're talking about Joseph's story and how Joseph was young and his father loved him the most, but it caused his older brothers to hate him. So they stripped him of his position and threw him into a pit and then sold him into slavery. Now, even though he was a slave, he did very well and was very successful, so he was made second in command of his master's house. Now, through no fault of his own, he ends up in prison. But even in prison, he works his way up through the ranks and is very successful and becomes second in command of the prison. And so we ended yesterday with his interpreting of the dreams of two people and those interpretations becoming true. So let's see where it goes today. Now after 2 years had gone by, Pharaoh had a dream. And in his dream he was by the side of the Nile, and out of the Nile came 7 cows, good-looking and fat, and their food was the river grass. And after them 7 other cows came out of the Nile, poor-looking and thin, and they were by the side of the other cows. And the 7 thin cows made a meal of the 7 fat cows. Then Pharaoh came out of his sleep. But he went to sleep again and had a second dream, in which he saw 7 heads of grain, full and good, all on one stem. And after them came up 7 other heads, thin and wasted by the east wind. And the 7 thin heads made a meal of the good heads. And when Pharaoh was awake, he saw that it was a dream. And in the morning his spirit was troubled, and he sent for all the wise men of Egypt and all the holy men, and put his dream before them, but no one was able to give him the sense of it. Then the chief wine servant said to Pharaoh, "The memory of my sin comes back to me now. Pharaoh had been angry with his servants, and had put me in prison in the house of the captain of the army, together with the chief breadmaker. And we had a dream on the same night, the two of us, and the dreams had a special sense. And there was with us a young Hebrew, the captain's servant, and when we put our dreams before him, he gave us the sense of them. And it came about as he said. I was put back in my place, and the breadmaker was put to death by hanging. Then Pharaoh sent for Yosef, and they took him quickly out of prison. And when his hair had been cut and his dress changed, he came before Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Yosef, I have had a dream, and no one is able to give me the sense of it. Now it has come to my ears that you are able to give the sense of a dream when it is put before you. Then Yosef said, Without God there will be no answer of peace for Pharaoh. Then Pharaoh said, In my dream I was by the side of the Nile, and out of the Nile came 7 cows, fat and good-looking, and their food was the river grass. Then after them came 7 other cows, very thin and poor-looking, worse than any I ever saw in the land of Egypt. And the thin cows made a meal of the 7 fat cows who came up first. And even with the fat cows inside them, they seemed as bad as before. And so I came out of my sleep. And again in a dream I saw 7 heads of grain, full and good, coming up in one stem. And then I saw 7 other heads, dry, thin, and wasted by the east wind, coming up after them. And the 7 thin heads made a meal of the 7 good heads. And I put this dream before the wise men, but not one of them was able to give me the sense of it. Then Yosef said, These 2 dreams have the same sense. God has made clear to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 fat cows are 7 years, and the 7 good heads of grain are 7 years. The two have the same sense. The 7 thin and poor-looking cows who came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 heads of grain dry and wasted by the east wind are 7 years when there will be no food. As I said to Pharaoh before, God has made clear to him what he is about to do. 7 years are coming in which there will be great wealth of grain in Egypt, and after that will come 7 years when there will not be enough food, and the memory of the good years will go from men's minds, and the land will be made waste by the bad years. And men will have no memory of the good time because of the need which will come after, for it will be very bitter. And this dream came to Pharaoh twice because this thing is certain, and God will quickly make it come about. And now let Pharaoh make search for a man of wisdom and good sense, and put him in authority over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him put overseers over the land of Egypt, to put in store a 5th part of the produce of the land in the good years. And let them get together all the food in those good years, and make a store of grain under Pharaoh's control for the use of the towns, and let them keep it. And let that food be kept in store for the land till the 7 bad years which are to come in Egypt, so that the land may not come to destruction through need of food. And this seemed good to Pharaoh and to all his servants. Then Pharaoh said to his servants, Where may we get such a man as this, a man in whom is the Spirit of God?" And Pharaoh said to Yosef, "Seeing that God has made all of this clear to you, there is no other man of such wisdom and good sense as you. You, then, are to be over my house, and all my people will be ruled by your word. Only as king will I be greater than you." And Pharaoh said to Yosef, "See, I have put you over all the land of Egypt." Then Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it on Yosef's hand. And he had him clothed with the best linen and put a chain of gold round his neck. And he made him take his seat in the second of his carriages, and they went before him, saying, "Make way!" So he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh said to Yosef, "I am Pharaoh, and without your order no man may do anything in all the land of Egypt." And Pharaoh gave Yosef the name of Zaphnath-Paaneah. And Pharaoh gave Yosef the name of Zaphnath-Paaneah, and he gave him Asenath, the daughter of Potipherah, the priest of On, to be his wife. So Yosef went through all the land of Egypt. Now Yosef was 30 years old when he came before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Yosef went out from before the face of Pharaoh and went through all the land of Egypt. Now in the 7 good years the earth gave fruit in masses. And Yosef got together all the food of those 7 years, and made a store of food in the towns. The produce of the fields round every town was stored up in the town. So he got together a store of grain like the sand of the sea, so great a store that after a time he gave up measuring it, for it might not be measured. And before the time of need, Yosef had 2 sons, to whom Asenath, the daughter of Potipherah, priest of On, gave birth. And to the first he gave the name Manasseh, for he said, "God has taken away from me all memory of my hard life and of my father's house." And to the second he gave the name Ephraim, for he said, "God has given me fruit in the land of my sorrow." And so the 7 good years in Egypt came to an end. Then came the first of the 7 years of need, as Yosef had said. And in every other land they were short of food, but in the land of Egypt there was bread. And when all the land of Egypt was in need of food, the people came crying to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said to the people, "Go to Yosef, and whatever he says to you, do it." And everywhere on the earth they were short of food. Then Yosef, opening all his storehouses, gave the people of Egypt grain for money. So great was the need of food in the land of Egypt. And all lands sent to Egypt, to Yosef, to get grain, for the need was great over all the earth. Now Yaakov, hearing that there was grain in Egypt, said to his sons, "Why are you looking at one another?" And he said, "I have had news that there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and get grain for us, so that life and not death may be ours." So Yosef's 10 brothers went down to get grain from Egypt. But Yaakov did not send Benjamin, Yosef's brother, with them, for fear, as he said, that some evil might come to him. And the sons of Israel came with all the others to get grain, for they were very short of food in the land of Canaan. Now Yosef was ruler over all the land, and it was he who gave out the grain to all the people of the land. And Yosef's brothers came before him and went down on their faces to the earth. And when Yosef saw his brothers, it was clear to him who they were. But he made himself strange to them, and talking roughly to them, said, "Where do you come from?" And they said, "From the land of Canaan, to get food." Now though Yosef saw that these were his brothers, they had no idea who he was. Then the memory of his dreams about them came back to Yosef, and he said to them, "You have come secretly to see how poor the land is." And they said to him, "Not so, my lord. Your servants have come with money to get food. We are all one man's sons. We are true men. We have not come with any secret purpose." And he said to them, "No, but you have come to see how poor the land is." Then they said, "We, your servants, are 12 brothers, son of one man in the land of Canaan. The youngest of us is now with our father, and one is dead." And Yosef said, "It is as I said. You have come with some secret purpose. But in this way will you be put to the test. By the life of Pharaoh, you will not go away from this place till your youngest brother comes here. Send one of your number to get your brother, and the rest of you will be kept in prison, so that your words may be tested to see if you are true. If not, by the life of Pharaoh, your purpose is certainly secret." So he put them in prison for 3 days. And on the 3rd day, Yosef said to them, "Do this if you would keep your lives, for I am a God-fearing man. If you are true men, let one of you be kept in prison while you go and take grain for the need of your families. and come back to me with your youngest brother, so that your words may be seen to be true, and you will not be put to death. This is what you are to do." And they said to one another, "Truly we did wrong to our brother, for we saw his grief of mind, and we did not give ear to his prayers. That is why this trouble has come on us." And Reuven said to them, "Did I not say to you, do the child no wrong? But you gave no attention, so now punishment has come on us for his blood." They were not conscious that the sense of their words was clear to Yosef, for he had been talking to them through one who had knowledge of their language. And turning away from them, he was overcome with weeping. Then he went on talking to them again, and took Shimon and put chains on him before their eyes. Then Yosef gave orders for their bags to be made full of grain, and for every man's money to be put back into his bag, and for food to be given them for the journey, which was done. Then they put the bags of grain on their donkeys and went away. Now at their night's resting place, one of them, opening his bag to give his donkey some food, saw his money in the mouth of the bag. And he said to his brothers, "My money has been given back. It is in my bag." Then their hearts became full of fear, and turning to one another, they said, "What is this which God has done to us?" So when they came to Yaakov their father in the land of Canaan, they gave him an account of all their experiences, saying, "The man who is the ruler of the country was rough with us and put us in prison, saying that we had come with a secret evil purpose. And we said to him, 'We are true men, we have no evil designs. We are 12 brothers, sons of our father. One is dead, and the youngest is now with our father in the land of Canaan.' And the ruler of the land said, 'In this way I may be certain that you are true men. Let one of you be kept here with me while you go and take grain for the needs of your families. And come back to me with your youngest brother. Then I will be certain that you are true men. And I will give your brother back to you, and let you do trade in the land.' And when they took the grain out of their bags, it was seen that every man's parcel of money was in his bag. And when they and their father saw the money, they were full of fear. And Yaakov their father said to them, 'You have taken my children from me. Yosef is gone, and Shimon is gone, and now you would take Benjamin away. All these things have come on me.' And Reuven said, 'Put my 2 sons to death if I do not come back to you with him. Let him be in my care, and I will give him safely back to you.' And he said, 'I will not let my son go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is all I have. If evil overtakes him on the journey, then through you will my gray head go down to the underworld in sorrow.'" So a great connection I like to make in Genesis chapter 41. I like to think back to the beginning of the Joseph story, and the moment where things start to go wrong with Joseph is right after his father rebukes him for his dream interpretation, and then sends him to his brothers, and then his brothers strip him of his robe and throw him in a pit, resulting in selling him to slavery. So I think Joseph's memory of his early life, Joseph's last experience with his family, is his father kind of being the one who cast him out. Joseph doesn't know that his brothers went back and showed the robe to their father and that Jacob grieved over it. Joseph doesn't remember that. He wasn't there. So it's interesting to see in chapter 41 that when Pharaoh calls Joseph out of prison, that he's wanting his dream interpretations, and because he sees that God is with him, he puts him as second in command, gives him his signet ring, gives him clothes, gives him a wife. It's almost as if Pharaoh is adopting Joseph as his new son. So we see this adoption thing, right? Joseph has to decide between 2 fathers, the father that cast him out or the father that adopts him for who he is. It's just an interesting way to make the connection there and think about what Joseph's mindset is about. And he totally gives in to Egypt and puts it into Egypt and cares about Egypt and is doing what is best for Egypt. And it's all because Pharaoh is treating him like a son. So take that with you as you have a wonderful day.